Hello, I'm Kelly and welcome to my Flosstube channel, Animal Instinct. It's Saturday the 11th of February 2023 and I'm back with another cross-stitching update. So thank you for those of you who commented on my last video, taken that feedback on board, and here I am back 2 weeks later. So I thought I'd do a bit of a trial and see how twice monthly videos go, and if it doesn't work I can go back to monthly. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. A big thank you to each and every one of you who have subscribed to my channel. There are now over 3,000 of you, which blows my mind. I can't believe it. Stitching in itself is a great hobby, and having this kind of adjacent hobby of making these videos and just being, I guess, interacting on social media really enhances the hobby, and I just love it. So thank you so much. And welcome if you're new to the channel as well. Today I have a fair bit of stitching to share, even though it's only been a couple of weeks. I have done quite a bit, and then I've got some fun plans for the next 2 weeks, the rest of the month. I'm back filming in my study today. We'll see how it goes. It hasn't been a good start, let me just say. I have attempted to film this earlier and the camera got knocked over when he was going a bit crazy. So fingers crossed he's calmed down now and we can just get on with it. So, stitching. My last video I was working on Warrior Woman by Medusa Dollmaker, Gecko Rouge kit. I love this one. This was my birthday start from last year. I haven't gotten very far, but that's okay. And I'll pop a photo in of where I was. And I'm working on that first page. And I was quite keen to get down to the bottom of that first page last time because her hair starts to appear and something a little bit different from the background. And I haven't finished the page, but pretty happy. I have reached her hair. So I stitched on this for a couple of days since I last filmed and I've got in about 700 stitches. There's a long way to go on this piece. I'm at 4%. It's on 25 count Lugana 1/1 full cross, and as much as I've enjoyed working on it, it is going to go away for a little while because I've got some other stitching plans, but it will come out later in the year for sure. Next piece I've been working on is Coffee Drinker's Confession by Heartstring Samplery. I started this with Jo from Belushi Stitches just after Christmas, and it's turned out to be a really good travel stitch. It's quite compact and I think the paper pattern helps. It is on 40 count linen, but I seem to be able to see the holes just fine. Pop a photo in of where I was, and here we are now. So I think last time I was still working on some of the words and I came in and finished the red, I think they're flowers, I don't know, these ones. And then I still had red on my needles, so I came in and did the berries in the basket here and then went on and did the basket too. So I'm stitching this on 40 count linen in Smoky Chimney by XG Designs, and I'm using Itchy Stitchy threads from Australia. I think I'll keep this one out to just work on here and there. It's really nice to stitch on, it's nice and simple, and I don't think it'll take too long to finish. Okay, so these are kind of roughly in the order I worked on them in the last couple of weeks. So the next one out, we flicked over into February, and that meant it was time to work on Pilgrim by Long Dog Samplers. I want to get this finished by the end of July, and at the start of the year I had 7 pages left, so I need to do 1 page a month. So my it's my only really firm stitchy goal this year is at the very start of the month pull this one out and get my stitching done because I really want to finish it. That approach with the page, doing a page, worked well for me in January, but not so well in February. The page I was working on kind of had little bits that went over into other pages, and I decided I'm going to scrap trying to stick to a page. I'm just going to stitch a section a month, and I've worked out if I do 4,200 stitches a month for the next 5 months, it'll be done when I want it done. But I really loved working on it in February. I worked on it for 5 days and I ended up doing 5,500 stitches. So this is where it was last time. And here we are now. So I'm 63% done. Let me just come in and show you what I worked on in February. This is on 36 count platinum linen, stitched with Silks for You in PR011, and then the writing is a different one, which I'll show you in just a second. I pretty much did most of that in February. I think my favourite part was this bunny. Look how cute it is. And then I couldn't help myself and I just wanted to do some more of the text. And I think it's come out so nicely. So the silks I'm using got PR011, which is a dark teal, and then this is PR140, and it's it's a bit of a mess, but anyway, it's this nice soft rainbow sort of colour. So that is this one. So I'll just show you again what I got done in Feb. So that's about 5,500 stitches. I think next month I'm going to, I'm going to come down and do this bird and sort of bring it across and get these done. And depending on how many stitches I have left, I might do, is that a frog or a toad, Amy? Do you know? Anyway, that critter there. We're in February, which means it is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month here in Australia. I've got my ribbon on today in the awareness colour teal, which is why I chose to stitch in a teal-ish sort of colour for this piece, because I started this on the 5th anniversary of my own diagnosis of ovarian cancer. And that's why I want to get this done in July this year, because that will be 10 years. So I'm just going to do my annual sort of public service announcement. I think it's really important to be aware of things like this. I certainly had no family history and no risk factors. I had no knowledge of this cancer. It was a complete surprise. So there's no really reliable early diagnostic tests that work in every case. And unfortunately the symptoms are very vague and non-specific. So things like fatigue and some abdominal bloating or discomfort, all things that you can explain away by lifestyle, stress, maybe you might think you're having like some digestive problems. Unfortunately, because of all of that, the vast majority of cases are not detected until the disease has metastasized or spread to other organs and tissues. And sadly, that means the prognosis is much poorer and treatment is very difficult. So I was very lucky that mine was detected early and able to be dealt with. And I'm very grateful for that. And, you know, I'm here today telling my story to raise some awareness. So every February especially, I think it's important just for anyone with ovaries or anyone that loves someone with ovaries, which pretty much covers the whole population. It's just something to be aware of. It's not going to be something really obvious like a lump or a mole or something like that, that you need to get checked out that someone else might notice. You need to really listen to your own body, and if something doesn't feel right, get it checked out. It's really important to be your own health advocate, and because no one else is really going to do it for you, and it is such a sort of silent, deadly disease. So I hope you might have learnt something from this today. I certainly am very fortunate to still be here and yeah, stitching away and definitely thinking about what I went through when I'm working on this piece, and I do look forward to finishing it in July this year. So I think that's enough about that. I do have some more whips to share. Next up is, I pulled out one I haven't worked on in ages. It's Lindy Stitches Accept Grandmas, this one. And I'm stitching this for my mum. I'm going to change it to Accept Nan and Pa's because they're known as Nan and Pa. And I had sat down with mum and we'd picked out colours to try and kind of mimic her house, but I don't know, it just wasn't working for me. So I frogged them and I'm just picking colours as I go. The first one I picked for the roof, which is very similar to the called for, but I don't think it is the called for. Nope. It's Weeks Dye Works Bright Leaf. And this is where I got it's on 32 count cream Lugana 2/2, and so I stitched the whole roof. I really like how it's turned out, it's really pretty. I stitched this while watching the final episode of the final season of Happy Valley. Pretty sure my UK viewers will be very familiar with that show. It's absolutely fantastic, and yeah, the final season has just been on telly. If you're in Australia, you can catch it on Foxtel or Binge. If only you could see what I can see. There is a cat right behind the camera. We'll see how we go. Anyway, yeah, it was absolutely brilliant series. And yeah, now whenever I look at this roof, I'm going to think of that show, the last episode. Whoa. I haven't picked out the other colours. I was kind of, I don't know, trying to pick every single floss that I needed, and then I realised I didn't need to do that. I'm only going to ever stitch one colour at a time, so Reggie. Then time for Firefly. I spent a couple of days on Firefly. I've done about 1,300 stitches with this Firefly. Artwork is by J Parks and it's a Gecko Rouge kit, and this year I am focusing on this cat here, River. I'll pop a photo in of where I was last time. And here we are. So I didn't really intend to stitch the eyes. I'll just get a little bit closer. What I did was I really focused on this ear, and I've filled all of that in. Next up, I want to go across the top of the head and to the other ear and then start bringing it down. But what happened was I had thread on my needle and there were stitches in the eyes. So I completed some of them, and then it looked so patchy I couldn't handle looking at it incomplete. So I went ahead and finished the eyes, and they just look great. So she does have dark like ears, and this across the top of her head, both ears are dark, and then she's pretty much white. So I presume the white will be coming in soon. But yeah, I'm thrilled with how she's looking. I'm now at 20.7% on the whole piece. So years and years of work ahead of me. All right, I've got one more whip, and that is this one. This is Sun Camera Motorcycle by artwork by Ronald West, and it's a Nitka Moscow kit. I don't recall the fabric. I think it's 27 count Lugana or something like that. I'll pop a photo in of where I was. So I had reached 50% of the cross stitches and half stitches at the end of January, so my last video. And I had a note in my little stitchy journal with some very vague sort of goals, and it said question mark finish Feb for this one. It hasn't happened. But I am so happy with how far I've come. This is it now. So I've worked my way all the way to the far right corner, but it's the bottom right corner. And I've completed this whole row. It's all kind of like grass in the foreground. It's a mix of full crosses and half stitches and blends of both. And it looks great as it is, but there's still a lot of back stitching to go. And since I finished that, I've just been kind of picking the bottom left symbol to fill in and bringing it across. So as you can see, there's half stitches and full crosses. And then I think it'll just be that I will leave the back stitching and the French knots till the end. But I'm loving this. I'm going to work on this today. And then unfortunately it's probably going to go away for a few months, I think. So we'll just have to do that. There's still a lot of backstitch to be done in the bike and the lady, but looks pretty good as is. Really enjoying working on that one. Okay, so that is all my stitching for the last fortnight. I'm pretty happy, yeah, with how much I got done. Plans for the rest of the month. So it's a birthday week in this household. Reggie turned 3 on Wednesday and it's my birthday tomorrow. So got to have a new start for my birthday. That's just the rules. This will come as no surprise if you've watched any of my videos before. I am starting a Gecko Rouge piece and there's cats in it. So I did not mean to pigeonhole myself, but here we are. This is what I'm going to be starting. This is called Love, artwork by Dany Lizeth, charted by and kitted by Gecko Rouge. It's just beautiful. Look at it. The colours and the little cats touching noses and a love heart there. Ah, it's so pretty. I've had this in my stash for a few years now. I think it's one of their best sellers actually. Now Jo from Blueshy Stitches is already working on this. She started it maybe a year and a bit ago. I can't quite remember. And I think she is about, I can't remember, a quarter or a third of the way through. She started in the middle and then she worked her way kind of to the edge, and I think that she's coming back. So she's done a whole lot more than me. She's doing hers on 18 count Aida with 2 strands of thread, and she's going to pick hers up and work on it too. I'm going to be doing mine on 25 count Lugana 1/1 full cross, so it's going to be a little bit smaller. And I've actually swapped out the kit fabric because you don't stitch the background. So there's a lot of white there. And I don't actually mind the white, but I decided just to go with something a little bit different. And I have this, I found this Stormy Night Lugana. I think it's Zweigart. And it's a light grey with some sort of just light mottling in it throughout it. It's one of those printed fabrics where the back is plain and the front has the design on it. So I did a bit of a floss toss and pretty happy with it. I've got threads here. It's a little bit hard to show you because there's a lot of threads, but anyway, just to give you an idea. I think it'll be great. There's not too many flosses that will be lost in that. So I'm going to be starting that tomorrow. And I am going to start, I normally would start top left corner because it's not full coverage though. I'm just going to start the top left bit, which is kind of probably in here, these swirls. Joe's warned me that there's quite a lot of confetti, but that's okay. And I'd actually really like to focus on this for the next few months and see how far I can get. So not really monogamous because I've always got plenty of different things on the go, but it's certainly going to be a focus piece, and who knows, maybe it could be a finish this year. Not sure. So that's tomorrow, Sunday, and then we, Joe and I are going to have another new start on Tuesday, on Valentine's Day, just for fun. We are going to be starting a piece by Dr. Kristi. So if you don't watch Dr. Kristi or follow her on Instagram, she is wonderful and I highly recommend her channel and her Instagram. She is a really creative person, lots of fun, and she does really interesting different things. Highly recommend her. She's got some great tutorials on her Flosstube channel, including one where she takes you through learning basic embroidery stitches. And not only do you learn them, but you put together a sweet little needlebook. So I'm really keen to try that sometime. She's recently released this cross stitch pattern. So she has an Etsy store. You can buy this on her Etsy store. And she's doing a series that she's called Medieval Marginalia. And I won't say too much because she's got a fantastic video on her channel, and I'll link to that below, all about this piece and about the inspiration behind it. And even better, you can, if you buy the pattern from her Etsy, it's got a great explanation. But essentially she's taken kind of cheeky illustrations from the margins of medieval texts. And this is the first one in a series, and she's converted it to cross stitch. Now it's definitely not going to be to everyone's taste. It might be a bit too rude for some of you. So I have tried to cover up those parts that may offend. But yeah, just a heads up. This is Nun Harvesting Phalluses. I've just covered it in creatures. I found a variety of needle-minder creatures. But yeah, if you want to actually see the picture, go to her Flosstube channel or her Etsy store. So just a bit of fun. I'm going to be stitching it. I wasn't really sure how to show that, so I hope that's okay. We've got a whale, an octopus, some sort of a beetle or something, and a jellyfish. So I think I'm going to start it on this fabric. It's a 40 count linen from Colour and Cotton, and it's called Swiss Coffee. And it's kind of like the colour of old paper. So hopefully that will work well for it. This is the tag. I bought this quite a few years ago now, and just haven't got around to using it. So I think that'll be great and a nice fun start. And like I said, highly recommend Kristi's channel. She's absolutely wonderful. All right, so I think that's all for today. I have had a pretty intense start to the year. And I am very fortunate to have the next week off of work. I just need some downtime, which is great. I don't have too many plans, so hopefully there'll be plenty of stitching in there. Also planning a little trip away, which I'll talk to you about in the next video. So I think, yeah, we'll just leave it there. I can't wait to start Love tomorrow. I've been hanging out for this for years. And yeah, I guess we'll leave it there and see you in a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, happy stitching. See ya.